Alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. My name is Ejaz Ahmed. On behalf of Professional Solidarity Forum, I would like to welcome all of you. We'll begin our session with Tilawa of Quran, and for that I would like to invite Brother Mazhar Hassan. Brother Mazhar Hassan.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر صدق الله العظيم. Translation goes this of this surah: by time, indeed mankind is in loss, except for those who have believed and righteous deed and advise each other to truth and advise each other to patience. Sadaqallahu al-Azim. Over to you, Brother Ejaz.
Jazakallah khair. Before we proceed, I would like to invite PSF Mumbai convener, Brother Naveed Anjum, to run us through the PSF journey in terms of PSF objectives and activities so far. Brother Naveed Anjum.
Assalamu alaikum and very warm welcome from PSF on behalf of PSF Mumbai. So I would like to walk you through the journey of PSF and what we did in the last 3 years. So basically, Professional Solidarity Forum is a group of professionals from IT and the non-IT domain. PSF aims to provide a platform for all the professionals to use their skills, time, and the creativity for the development of self and society to bring about the positive change in the society. If I it would be as development of the professionals and community services by large. If further I enlist the aims and the objectives, which would be as to sensitize the professional regarding their purpose of life, utilize professional talent, their spare time in activities resulting in the self-development and humanity at large, sustain and develop the community services with the clear vision and professional expertise, promote unity, sense of coexistence and the communal harmony amongst the professional community, provide the nationwide platform by networking with the other cities of professionals in the like Delhi, Hyderabad, Bangalore, Calcutta. If I drill down further in terms of the community services, we broadly classify as career and job guidance to the students and unemployed youth, industry interface and exposure session to job seekers, talent promotion of professional by engaging them in the constructive and alternate art, cultural activism, social media and all other forums of media activism to reflect the stand of professional and their issues, taking up the charity projects, serving the professional fraternity through the activities such as the knowledge, such as the workshop, seminars, and other training programs, moral and ethical session of working professional, social service activities for the community in the field, but not restricted to the education and livelihood and healthcare. Facilitate professionals to better serve the downtrodden in coordination with other like-minded NGOs, create awareness among the professionals about the importance of community services. To achieve these aims and objectives, PSF engage themselves on the ground. We earlier we used to have a physical bi-monthly get-together wherein we have extended our invite to professionals' families and their kids. We try to touch upon to achieve our objective of self-development by bringing the domain experts from their respective fields. So we have arranged the various sessions like paradigm shift, community and finance, parenting, spiritual development, health and lifestyle, political scenario, which gives which gives the age to all the professional to have some self development. When I talk about the we have arranged the expert lecture series in different colleges. The idea behind to arrange the expert lecture series to give the students predominantly final year student the a current industry standard, what are the latest technology in the industry being used. Also, we felt the necessity of having the mock interviews, building the resume for the final year student to make them corporate ready material. To understand our responsibility towards the community, and in crisis situation we have been engaged ourselves. Our volunteer got into the ground, collected the fund for the Kerala flood. Also in Mumbai we have distributed the blankets during the winter. Also we have engaged ourselves in distributing the water bottles to the traffic police personnel across the Mumbai. Lastly, not lastly, we have been engaged with other NGOs and participated in anti-drug campaign. Also, during the Ramzan, we have taken the initiatives of distributing the Ramzan ration kit to the financially deprived people across the community. Lastly, I would like to talk about project, which is the we target to sponsor the financial deprived but meritorious student Mumbai and suburbs. So last year we have sponsored around 89 students. This year so far we have achieved the 76 as a number, which will be growing inshallah. So these are the few pointers which I wanted to take you through the journey what PSF achieved in last 3 years. There are a couple of more initiatives which are in the pipeline and which you would be hearing soon. But I won't take much time. Again, warm welcome from PSF Mumbai. And let's hear from Dr. Ruksheda Sayyeda what she has to talk about today. Jazakallah. Thank you very much.
Thanks much, Brother Naveed. Before we proceed, I would like to share with everyone who is watching it live on YouTube that all of you can post your questions on the live chat, and the questions will be answered post the main session. Please hold on for that. Now, all of us, actually most of us, have heard the term lockdown first in the year 2019 in August, when entire Kashmir was put on lockdown. 9 months down the line, we saw entire world in lockdown in the month of March. So a lot of things have changed for us. Our daily lives have been impacted. We work from home. We have video calls, conference calls from home, and our children are getting online education. We fall short of gadgets sometimes in our home. Every time we go out, we have to wear the mask. And every time we touch anything outside, we have to use a sanitizer. We really cannot physically meet our relatives, friends, neighbors, and close friends, right? So all this has changed. Many of us have lost jobs. Daily wages have been impacted. There's huge amount of stress on our minds. So keeping all this in mind, PSF Mumbai thought of doing a session under the title, The Challenges of New Normals, so that we can understand the challenges of these new issues post-COVID-19 and how we can cope up and keep our mental health balanced. To help us with this and to see guidance on this subject, we have eminent speaker, Dr. Sayyida Ruksheda. Dr. Sayyida Ruksheda is an eminent psychiatrist and psychotherapist with over 20 years of experience. Dr. Ruksheda is a passionate advocate of community mental health. Celebrated speaker on mental health. She already has 2 TEDx topics at the global level. Co-chair of Women's Mental Health Specialty section of Indian Psychiatric Society. Specializes in adolescents, young adults, women, and families. So without much further delay, I would like to welcome Dr. Sayyida Ruksheda and request her to take it over from here. Dr. Sayyida Ruksheda.
Thank you so much for those kind words and those introductions. Bismillah, Assalamu alaikum. Hello, good morning, good afternoon rather, 12 baj gaye. Today I'm going to try and keep to English as much as possible, but if I do speak in Hindi, is that okay? Is that okay with the organizers? Is that fine? Okay, so
Yeah, it should be
apparently
fine.
I can do whatever I want. Now I get the red signal, green signal as well. All right. Right. Like just now we've been introduced and we are saying that, okay, we're going to talk about the challenges of the new normal. And so we're going to figure out that, okay, what are we going to do? So whenever I start the session, I always acknowledge first Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and, all my teachers and my family and my friends and my patients who continuously keep trying, keep teaching me. A special mention to the PSF people, because they don't let me say no. I have no conflict of interest. Nobody pays me money to say anything at all. Nobody pays me any money most of the times anyway. So don't worry about it. So whatever I'm going to say, inshallah, it's just going to be because it's scientific and we have evidence for it. And a few maybe anecdotes from myself, but my side, but they're going to be safe, inshallah. Disclaimer, I talk a lot about mental health. So if I'm running out, like if I'm talking too much, banking on the organizers to kind of like pipe in and say that, okay, 5 minutes left or 10 minutes left or something like that. Because I think this is such an essential topic and most of us still don't know, we don't talk about it. So that's the reason I love it and I think it's so important for us. So I talk a lot. So when we talk about the new normals, right? Well, first we have to understand that, okay, things have changed. Yes, it's been 4 months, but in spite of that, when it first started, we kept telling ourselves, ki thode din, a couple of weeks, फिर a couple of weeks, 2.0, फिर 3.4 ho gaya, वगैरह वगैरह. So we somehow just, a lot of us were also kind of like in denial and we were like, nahi, aisa nahi hoga, ya waisa nahi hoga, ya aisa nahi ho raha hai, right? So we need to kind of be a little compassionate to ourselves and we have to just allow ourselves to cope. It doesn't mean that, okay, we have to all of a sudden now normalize and we have to say new normal hai, matlab like, be now one day and I should be able to adapt and everything should fall into place and I should know what to do with everything, including how to run my household, how to not stress about money. If I lost a job, how to get a job. If I have a job, how to, how to do this online. I've been teaching for 25 years, let's say on a blackboard, and now all of a sudden I'm supposed to learn how to use a computer and even maybe buy a computer in order to do my job. So a lot of things have changed and we don't really, we shouldn't expect ourselves to kind of like just overnight get the hang of it. So reduce that pressure, reduce that self pressure that you have. And and we don't want to like rush into too many changes too soon because we're so scared and worried that we'll be left behind. Take your time, allow yourself to be yourself. When you're taking your time, you're going to be able to process things properly. You're going to be able to make more rational, better, confident decisions about a lot of things. How should I do this? What should I do this? If I do this, okay, this didn't work out, so let me try something else. So with so much of uncertainty, it's okay to admit that things are not normal right now. It's okay, it's fine, and we're getting the hang of it, and let's adapt. Take one day at a time and let's figure out what is the best thing to do. Can I survive doing this without that? Simple things. So take your time, and it's okay to kind of like accept the fact that, okay, yes, I'm upset. I just shared a joke with somebody. So there are these two scientists and they're saying, okay, हमने एक बल्ब इजाद किया है जो stress से power होता है. Stress होगा तो बल्ब बहुत ज़्यादा रोशनी देगा. So the other scientist is like, of course, peer review हो रहा है, so they are a little skeptical. How do you know? How can you test it? So they call an Indian guy and then they tell the Indian guy, hold the bulb. So he's holding the bulb. And then they tell him that, because of lockdown, you're not going to get pani puri. And the stress level that increases in the Indian guy lights up the entire earth. So we do have like a lot of disappointments and a lot of worry about, okay, my life is not going to be the same or hasn't been the same. And then we start worrying about it's never going to be the same. So again, I'm going to say, let's not really look in the past and let's not really worry about the future. And let's try and like figure out that, okay, today I'm having a good day or today I'm having a bad day. So when we are going about it like that, it's important for us to understand that, especially, I mean, I'm assuming most of us are adults here, and hopefully there's parental control, and little children are not really watching something without you guys knowing what they're watching. So children are looking at us, they are watching us, they're learning from us or not learning from us, because so many times kids will go and look at us and be like, I'm not going to do when I grow up. So you want to be careful about that. And that's one of the major reasons we are doing all of these webinars, so that the adults wise up. Because you know what, our kids, mashallah, they are wise. And if they're older children, like teenagers, or even preteens for that matter, they have a lot of access and to information. So they're comparing that, okay, on the internet I read that, but my parents are doing something like this. That means they don't have it together. So they have a lot of information, and they're going to judge you, right? It's not just about, oh, they're impressionable and how are we going to raise them into being good adults, but also they are going to completely judge you. So you better watch your step. And I mean, that's how children learn more than what you want them to learn because you're telling them something. They will learn because you are doing something. It's role modeling, right? And like I said, a lot of times they will do exactly how we are doing it, and a lot of times they will do entirely opposite. So you want to take that responsibility a little seriously. So let's talk about our households, right? Our homes, because one of the major reasons when they asked me what topic I wanted to talk about, so I said that, okay, I'm going to talk about like living at home, and or living at workplace, or living at school place. And they were like, oh, what does that mean? So because all of our homes are not only homes anymore, they are our places of work. Whether if I'm a student, whether it's in school or college, this is my workplace. If I am working from home, whether whichever department I'm working, whether I'm a doctor doing online sessions, whether I'm in IT, whether I'm an accountant, or whatever it might be, I am working from home. So my home essentially needs to continue to function as a home, right? So that's our first priority, because if your home's not in place, everything else is also going to fall apart. And it's very important for us to understand that the first couple of months there were a lot of jokes around how how we men are also doing something or the other, which is great. And a friend of mine put up a joke on Facebook. I'm not sure if it's his or original, or he was also forwarding it, but we're all content creators now. So the joke was that घर उतना ही बड़ा होना चाहिए जितने झाड़ू पोछा करने की हिम्मत हो. So that was another, like, a good lesson that, oh yeah, it was a good lesson on sustainability, a good lesson in our needs, and what do I need and what do I want. So it's always something that that's a good way of kind of asking yourself, okay, is this something that I really need, or is this something that I really just want? So that helps us, lends us into having a very sustainable lifestyle, alhamdulillah. When we are talking about homes and households, we need to still limit our errands. Don't just keep going out for every little thing. Don't just keep going out to buy this or buy that, or meet this person or meet that person. I understand it's been 4 months and it's really difficult not to go out and not to venture out, but please restrain. Restrain is very important, because the virus hasn't gone away yet. We don't have a vaccine yet. The vulnerable people in our society, the older people, the people with other kind of illnesses, they're still at risk. So limit your errands. If you're going out on errands, please take all kinds of safety precautions. Learn how to wear a mask and how not to touch a mask, right? If you're going to be wearing gloves, figure out when to wear the gloves, how to wear the gloves, how to keep the gloves safe. So all of that is very important. And if you're going to limit the errands, there is less a possibility of exposure, because we're still, with so many months of lockdown. And even if people who are not living in cramped spaces, in terms of maybe the slums or chawl systems and everything, we're still seeing outbreaks of corona. So that means clearly not only just that the airborne illnesses, but also the surface contact, the spread with the surface contact is continuing. So we want to be careful with that. to run a good home and run a good household for that matter, whether it's a home or the household, there has to be division of labor, right? कि अच्छा तुम क्या करते हो, मैं क्या करती हूँ, तुम ये कर लेना, मैं ये कर लूँगी, because it's a symbiotic relationship that you have with each other, and that's how you build a household into a home, and how a home is happy, how a home is happy, and how the household just needs to run, like I said, I mean, it has to be practically run so that you can have a home and you can be happy in it. Like I said, that there were a lot of men who started doing a lot of household chores, and that was great to see, because now we realize that the division of labor that we're talking about in our homes especially has to be skill based. It cannot be gender based कि अच्छा तुम ये कर because तुम लड़की हो तो तुम ये करो, और तुम लड़के हो तो तुम वो नहीं कर सकते हो या नहीं करना चाहिए, और लड़का हो के क्या कर रहा है, right? So thankfully, most of the adults have set a good example. The men are also doing household works, and so now they're realizing that it's not women's job, and it's not like a I'm helping my wife. It's I'm taking care of my home along with my partner. Right. So, and like I said, again, the children are watching, and let me tell you, they have less gender bias than we do as adults, right? So when they see that, okay, if I'm a girl and I'm being told to do like a particular kind of job, and he's a boy and he's being told to do a particular job, वो अभी बहुत ज़्यादा खटकता है, and they recognize that this is not right and this is not the most sensible way of doing it. So again, they're going to judge you that your parenting skills or your adulting skills for that matter leaves a lot to be desired. So you want to be careful and understand that, okay, we need to bring those changes in ourselves as well. So our chores definitely need to be skill-based chores. I was speaking to a couple and they were fighting that, oh, you think you're doing, whatever you like, but all you're doing is going out and buying groceries and all of that. But that's also true, because the woman was a little bit more scared that, oh, if I go, I'll make a mistake and I'll forget to wear my mask and all of that. So she was getting panicky. So he said, okay, well, you know what? I'm going to go do this. Why don't you do this? And so she was like, oh, you're just doing this. And I said that, that's a good thing. If you're doing something that you are skillful at or you're better at than the other people in the house, तो काम जल्दी भी हो जाएगा और अच्छे से हो जाएगा, efficiently हो जाएगा. Like, you don't want to put me in the kitchen. Like, you really don't want to put me in the kitchen because it's horrible, right? I hate it. And it comes through very, very clearly that, okay, you know what? Let me do all the cleaning and the washing and all of that, but don't make me cook. Though I do make a very good cup of chai. So when the chores are skill based, it's less strenuous, है ना? भार कम लगता है, ये नहीं लगता है कि oh my god, ये भी करना है, वो भी करना है, वो भी करना है. And thankfully, a lot of household chores don't require like next level of talents. They're pretty easy and to be able to learn. And that's why teaching our children and involving them, doesn't matter how old or young they are, it's very important, because we're teaching them life skills, right? I always tell people that you should learn how to do everything, right? Like learn how to drive a car. Later, when you grow up and you can hire a driver, go ahead, wonderful, why not? Learn how to cook. Later, if you can, you can. So it's not like I can't cook. It's like I don't like to cook and I won't cook. And clearly I don't have the practice. I'm not very good at it yet. So learn how to do things, because that increases your self-confidence. That increases the confidence. Okay, now I can go and like do whatever I want. And the structure, the way our structures are in Indian societies, frankly, the entire subcontinent of South Asia, is that we treat children as, sometimes we expect them to do something very old out of their age group, and sometimes we expect them to be little children who don't have a thought or who don't have a brain of their own. So we don't want to do that. We do want to teach them life skills, and we want to learn some life skills from them. You know how many of my friends were taught how to go online or do the Zoom or set up the Zoom by their own young people? I know I was also assisted by it. I keep calling my nephew, okay, this happened, now what do I do? And and alhamdulillah, they've been very, very patient with me. And so they're teaching us life skills as well, because these are life skills now. Technology is a life skill that we cannot refute, right? I have grandmothers now who know how to FaceTime or do WhatsApp video chat or Zoom chat. You know how many patients of mine I have who are over 65 and they're so comfortable doing Zoom calls now, and we are doing our sessions on Zoom calls or Google Meet or things like that. So it's really nice. So just don't think that the transfer of skill or transfer of knowledge is from top to bottom. It is also from bottom up, isn't it? So we need to understand that if we are looking at it as if, okay, we are learning life skills, that does not make it then a big chore. And because you're all, especially like in a place like Bombay, we live in small cramped spaces. Even if we have like a 2 BHK, it's still, the rooms are not that big, the ceilings are not that high. So the sheer amount of physical space that we have is less. And the number of people that are in a house are quite a lot. So it's more imperative now than ever that we understand the definition of personal space. My personal space, especially also in terms of Corona, like when there is somebody in the house, I'm like, why are you standing next to me if you don't have to? So stand at least 3 feet away from me, even if it's like a household, and of course not like the people I'm living with on a daily basis, but if somebody's visiting or somebody's come from the office or the clinic, or I'm seeing a patient in the clinic. So if you don't have to, then you need to. So when we understand that physical personal space is important, and when you translate that into how, like just a physical space, not in terms of just the coronavirus, but also in terms of comfort is important. But the space that I'm talking about, the personal space I'm talking about, is also psychological, and it's also digital. Like I said, with children, we hope that we have a parental consent and actual parents know what's going on. But at the same time, if you are, if I have a partner, I have a spouse, or I have an older child or a grown-up person, I shouldn't be looking into their digital space without consent, without permission. Right? Only recently have I, added my sister on my Facebook, and she has assured me that she's not going to comment on my post, and I'm not going to comment on hers. Not because of anything else, but just because it's a running joke between us in the family. So my nephews finally, they were like, no, now it's too much. No, let her come on your Facebook profile. So it became a joke. But what I'm trying to say is that it needs to be a respectful kind of sharing of space, right? And we are 24/7 with each other. So it's just getting to all of us, because most people, we have a 4-hour marriage and a 2-hour parenting thing. We're not used to looking at our children the entire day. We're not used to looking at our partner the entire day. So that kind of togetherness is not okay, right? It's driving people nuts, to be very honest. So you also want to understand that, okay, how do we spend so much of time with each other? And if we come out of this entire pandemic and the restricted movements, forget about not hating each other, but having a new appreciation for each other, and hopefully maybe having better relationships. So a little alone time on a daily basis is very important. I always say that, if you have a big space, it could be a room, it could be a balcony. If you don't have that, it could be a chair. So if that is my alone time for today, that is my alone space for today. If I'm sitting there, unless the house is on fire, don't call me up, don't ask me, don't come and look at me. Now, of course, that's going to be very difficult if you have little children in the house, but it's still possible. And if you make the little children also understand the concept, no, this is the alone time, so we don't speak to that person at that time because they need it. So it teaches them something. Because one of the things that we, as a psychiatrist, I struggle with, if I tell you that, okay, do a relaxation exercise. Most people don't know how to relax, especially professionals, especially women who are working women as well as running their households. It's very difficult because you're forever multitasking, and that increases your burnout levels to super high. So you want to learn how to do nothing. You want to, even if it's for a short period of time, right? So depending on what kind of life you have and what kind of demands you have, you might want to take out some time every day to just be by yourself and get that spot, and have a designated alone spot in the house, so that if schedule it, if you have too many people and there is like a maramari for that spot, schedule it. Okay, tum itne baje se itne baje tak baithna wahan par. And because it's important for us to have that little corner of my life just it being mine, without me being a mother, me being a father, me being a worker, me being a husband, me being a wife, me being a daughter. So we want it to be just by ourselves. So it's important for us to do things that that we like, that we enjoy. It doesn't have to be by myself. I mean, that kind of, it could be anything. Like for the so I'm not an early riser, and last night I actually posted on my friends group that, okay, you know what, I haven't seen you guys in so long, let's do an 8:30 a.m. Zoom call. for the simple reason I have friends who are like living in different time zones all over the world. So 8:30 a.m. is generally when they meet. I'm always complaining about it, and half the times I don't turn up because I'm sleeping. So even I'm like, no, let's do that, because that's important for me. It's important. It keeps me going. It will help me to kind of see my friends, be a little silly, laugh a little bit, and not feel burdened by all of these restrictions that are going on. So that's what's going to make a functional household and a happy home. And it's important to have healthy routines. I know some of my routines have gone out of the window, and I know so many people who are complaining either they're sleeping too much or sleeping too little. They're binging in binges, or they're like, you're not eating very well. I had a session with an executive yesterday, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I've lost a lot of weight because I'm living in a zone, and my maid wasn't coming, and my parents were stuck in another city, and so he's been cooking by himself while doing calls because for." In his line of work, his work has increased, so he has 15-hour jobs, 15-hour work days. So he's been cooking only like rice and one basic sabzi that he puts in one pot and he cooks. So he's lost weight. So a lot of this, these lifestyles has been happening, but we need to really make a concentrated effort in having some kind of a healthy routine, because it's not like our body is going to all of a sudden change and become something in a few months. No, because this might go on for some time, and even after the lockdown lifts up, we still have to continue to limit our movements and do a lot of work from home and all of that, like school from home and all of that. So you want to set in these healthy routines that are very, very important. When we're talking about building a household, building a home, building a happy home, whether that home is with my family, whether that home happens to be with the people I'm living, so even in that space, it's important. Like I might have roommates or things like that. So relationships are very, very important, and relationships are cornerstone of our brain functionality in a way, because human beings are very social. It's not easy for us to just live by ourselves and become recluse, because and what happens is that there is something like loneliness can be contagious. If I'm like a lonely person, and if you're with me, and dheere dheere you also become lonely because I don't reciprocate to your overtures and then all of that, right? So, and that's not healthy for our brain. So that takes away, like impacts my brain functioning in a way that impacts my entire body. So when we talk about psychiatry and we talk about mental health, we're not really just talking about feeling happy. We're also talking about how that will impact my health, my physical health, as most of us understand it. So it's very important for us to work on our relationships. We know that, because of so much of stress, living in spaces, worried about work, worried about losing employment, worried about, so many people not being able to work at all. So no money, where is it going to happen? 1 month was okay, but 4 months down the line, people are getting pay cuts, people are losing their jobs, losing businesses. So it is going to, strain a lot of relationships. So a lot of old issues that were there are kind of resurfacing, and lot of new problems and new interpersonal issues are emerging. मतलब जो पुराने झगड़े होते थे वो तो कंटिन्यू हैं, वो तो हम वैसे झगड़े कर ही रहे हैं, मगर अब नए झगड़े भी हो रहे हैं, है ना? तो we want to understand कि हाँ ऐसा हो रहा है. All the more reason for us to have some sabr, some patience, so that we don't further weaken our relationships, because that's ultimately going to weaken me, my brain, as well as my body, right? So we want to start solving and resolving as and when something crops up, and not hide it under the carpet. A lot of the times we had that buffer of space, buffer of time. I go out for work and I come back, so it gives me some time to kind of reorient my head and not hate you as much. But here I've had a fight with you in the morning, and the whole day I have to look at you, so by evening I'm still kind of like boiling mad, right? So that can happen, that does happen. So all the more reason for us to learn how to fight. I always say one of the the best couples out there, they don't know, they know how to love each other, but more importantly they know how to fight. So they've resolved, okay, no, if we fight, we're going to do this, we're not going to do this, this is what's allowed, this is not what's allowed, we're going to have to start talking at this much time, we're going to have to do this, and all of that. So pick a spot where you're fighting. And I always say, if there is a third person, you can't fight. So if that third person happens to be in the room or on the road or wherever, if you and I are fighting, especially if it's a couple, especially, but this can apply to all relationships with friends or with children or something. So if two people are fighting, if there's a third person, you have to stop fighting, because then that means your privacy is not there anymore, and that means that the fights can escalate to another level, and which is not right. So you need to reinvent certain ways of how do we connect with each other, how do we fight with each other, how do we resolve our fights, and all of that. And one of the easiest way to do is using empathy and compassion. Empathy is nothing but just trying to understand, where is this person coming from? Why is this person thinking the way they're thinking, or feeling the way they're feeling, or reacting the way they're reacting? I don't have to agree with it. I don't have to condone what you're doing or what you're not doing, but I have to maybe try and understand why you're doing it. And this is not a favor that I'm going to do for the other person. This is entirely a favor for myself. Because when I have empathy, when I'm using empathy, it evolves my brain to a level which is significantly important in my life skills, in my satisfaction levels, in my contentment levels, and ultimately my happiness and my health. So empathy opens up a lot of your, lot of your kind of even latent talents in your brain. And it's a very sasta sundar tikau method, very quick method of calming yourself down, not getting angry, being able to speak to somebody. Like I said, you don't have to agree with somebody, but you do have to see where they're coming from. You cannot say, तो ऐसा तो हो ही नहीं सकता, मुझे नहीं हो रहा है तो तुम्हें भी नहीं होगा. No, it doesn't work like that. I, even if I am like, my sister and I are raised in the same household, but we're different people. She has a different relationship with her parents, and I have a different relationship with my parents. The way my parents speak to me is very different from the way her parents speak to her, right? We're sisters raised in the same house by the same set of people, but it's still different. So if I tell her that I know what you're going through, that's not right. So if I say that I can understand where you're coming from, and I can see that it's paining you, and or I can see that it's distressing, and I can see how you must be thinking like this, but you know what, I'm thinking like this because of these reasons. That's empathetic listening and empathetic talking, that's definitely going to make it very easy for you to have better relationships with everybody, including your children who are so bored and they are annoying you to death by saying that they're so bored. So have a little empathy for them. It's easier for adults to sit at home and work from here, be less physically, be more physically restrained. And it's for children, because it is part of their development and necessary for their development, they're hardwired to want to jump around, to go out and do this and experience things. So it's not exactly in their hands when they can't sit in one's place. Okay, so we need to be very empathetic towards our children. And they're also doing something new, right? I mean, they're supposed to be learning how to go to school on a laptop. And my 5-year-old was telling my mother, and my mother's like, "Acha, Hyderabad mein schools khul gaye." And I was like, "Nahi, ammi, kyun? To nahi, wo to keh raha tha ki wo school gaya tha." So because his teacher has told him that, okay, when you're in front of the computer, that means now you're in school, so you have to be dressed well and you have to speak well and you cannot get up without asking permission. So he says, "Acha, when I'm in the front of the laptop, my school aa gaya." So kids are like, they're also learning, but thankfully kids are very resilient and they're very quick to learn. The younger children are, it's easier for us to involve them in activities, distract them, do something or the other. The older children, the teenagers, it's a little difficult for them. So let's have a little compassion for them as well. And I always say, with each other, you have to practice kindness. You have to practice kindness till the time it becomes instinctual. I have this person, and he was like, I do the right things with my parents. He's a 25-year-old, very mature, very educated, very highly intelligent person. And he's like, I think this is the right thing to do for my parents, so I do that. But because I think it, does that mean I'm not a good person? So I'm like, no, it doesn't mean that your instinct is, because you're instinctively not very kind, doesn't mean that you're not kind. It depends. It really matters what you're doing, right? Like I can feel like slapping you, but unless and until I slap you, it's not you can't blame me for that, right? So your actions definitely do matter. having said that, even if I'm thinking what is the right thing for me to do, because instinctually I know I want to do the right thing, right? So again, instinctually I may have that wish to do the right thing. So even if instinctively I don't kind of like help you when you've fallen down, but if I intellectually I understand that no, this is something wrong and I should like see what I can do, and then I offer to help you stand up again because you've fallen down, that doesn't mean that it's not okay, that I'm not right or something's lacking with me. But if I practice at it enough, instead of becoming less instinctual and more intellectual, it will become less intellectual and more instinctive. And that's what we want, because that's going to be good for me. Like, I'm going to be happier if I'm more kinder, if I'm more empathetic, because I can see and feel the emotional connections better. I learn how to express myself better. I learn how to communicate better. So a number of levels that we are really going to be benefited by. So practice kindness. For the first person that you need to practice kindness towards is yourself. Okay, you need to be able to speak to yourself in a balanced manner. Don't always keep praising yourself. Okay, I get that, because you don't want to fill your head with all sorts of ridiculous delusions of grandeur. But at the same time, please don't be very harsh on yourself. If you can't do something, and even if you're procrastinating, telling yourself bad things and calling yourself names and calling yourself hopeless or worthless is not going to really help. So I always, instinctively, even when I was younger and I didn't, like, I wasn't a psychiatrist, then I wasn't this wise, I used to think that, okay, there's a best friend of mine, like, if she was here, what would she tell me? Because she loves me. She's my best friend. We are soulmates. So she loves me. So she's going to tell me from right to wrong. So if I'm being stupid, she's going to tell me that, listen, you're being stupid, don't do that. But she's going to say it in a very nice manner, right? Because honesty without tact is cruelty. So be honest with yourself, but with a little bit of tact, so you're not cruel to yourself. So when you start practicing kindness towards yourself first, and also, by the time, so it doesn't mean that you have to first be kind to you only, then you can start being kind to others. Whatever is easy for you. You want to start with others, go ahead, not a bad place to start. But you also need to remember that you're also, you're also should be kind to yourself, and that's going to make your life easier, and it's going to be easier for other people to be nice to you and kind to you, because that's how, we have mirror neurons in our brain. So if I'm nice to myself, other people are automatically nice to me, right? And if I'm balanced, like I call myself out when I'm doing something wrong and I'm happy when I'm doing something right, and that balance is there, then other people are also going to treat me with that kind of balanced nature as well. And that's nice, isn't it? So when we are talking about, our homes have now become our workspaces, what do we do? One of the biggest challenges, space, isn't it? I mean, the dining table used to be where the kids would study or do their homework at a particular time. It was where I used to cut my vegetables at a particular time. Now all of a sudden it has become like Grand Central Station and the father's domain, and nobody comes here because my laptop is here and my files are there, and don't touch this, and my pen kisne uthaya. So the space is definitely an issue. So when you're looking at your household and when you know that these are your requirements, sit down with your partner, whoever your partner is, in terms of running that household and in terms of running that workspace now, right? Because a woman's, if she's if she's a homemaker, or if it's a stay-at-home dad, there are a few of them out there, by the way, and they're doing a wonderful job, mashallah. So so their home was also their workspace, right? Now everything's invaded. Their home's also invaded and their workspace is also invaded. So we want to be a little good with them as well, because we just feel that, okay, because I'm working and I'm earning, that means this is only my workspace. So it's their workspace as well. So how do we structure it? Figure out, is it like a scheduling issue? Is it a space issue? Is it an understanding issue? What do we do? Because there's so much of noise, maybe your earphones are better, maybe earplugs is not so good because the kid is small, so maybe we invest in a phone, so that, and the screen has to be big for the child, because if he's doing school like in a small mobile phone or a tablet, or if you don't have, ask people that, okay, do you have something that my kid can use, because you can't keep buying so much stuff, because मतलब लॉकडाउन में वैसे ही पैसे नहीं है और ऊपर से और इतना इन्वेस्टमेंट करना पड़ रहा है हमें वगैरह वगैरह, and so you want to make that environment conducive. And if you work on a schedule, it becomes easy, so that you're not, you like, for now this is the school, and for now it's back to being home again. So it's very important for us to do that. And a lot of the times, unfortunately, what we are our biggest challenge that we're looking at is that certain people are very busy and certain people are so bored they have nothing to do. I know for a fact that I'm busy. देखो संडे को भी काम करवा रहे हो ना तुम लोग मुझसे, अब तुम लोग काम करवा रहे हो तो उसके बाद मैं क्लिनिकल काम भी कर रही हूँ, देख रही हूँ पेशेंट्स, है ना. तो I have had only 2 Sundays off in this entire period of time, 2.5 rather Sundays off. Even on Eid, I ended up seeing a patient. So either some people are too busy or they're too bored. So to find that balance, and both of them can be present in the same household as well, and that becomes like really difficult. Why do I have to not watch TV because you have work? Why should I suffer? And why, I'm also getting bored and I can't even watch TV. So what am I going to do? So all of this can really escalate the aggression in the house. And so we want to be, we want to try and like sit together and help each other out. Okay, I'm bored. I was thinking I'll do this. What do you think I should do? Instead of I'm bored, tell me what to do. Right? So you need to have like atmanirbharta honi chahiye. We need to be self-reliant in terms of how we can help ourselves and how we can make other people around us okay as well. So scheduling is important, having healthier routines is important, giving each other space is important, and that's going to, instead of the same space being everything, it can be 10 different things at 10 different times. So it's the same concept like multitasking. I always tell people don't do 2 things at a time, maybe do 10 things in a day. So the same way your home can become a workspace and then become a home depending on what the time is like, right? Maybe. So we have to be a little creative and inventive depending on what kind of space we have. And I ask for help. Like I said, if you're not being able to figure something out, it's okay. You don't have to. This is not something that we've done in the past as well. Or even if we've done something, my talents lie somewhere else and yours lie somewhere else. So ask for help. Ask for help from the school teacher. Ask for help from your juniors or your seniors at work. Okay, I'm finding this difficult. What do you think I should do? How do you think I can do this? And so they will also be able to help you out in terms of how to structure the household or how to structure space or how to structure time and how to manage the noise pollution in the house, because now outside there are less vehicles and everything, so there's more shanti and there's more quiet. The inside household noises have become noises and they're louder, and we feel that pehle to we could manage so much of noise, now why are we are not being able to tolerate it? And that sensitizes us and increases our irritability and all of that quite a lot as well. So you want to be careful in terms of how to manage all of that and how to keep a space functional, whether that space right now is home or right now is work. And so I tell people that okay, it's very important. I mean, if you can be comfortable at work, please be comfortable at work. You don't have to wear work clothes, but at the same time, if you're not being able to get into the zone of work, whether that's school or whether that's your office work, dress up, because that's part of your conditioning. If you need to do that, then that's okay. So you need to do that. So you want to kind of, like I said, ask for advice from other people, do your own research online. There's so much of information available on. I mean, I know your young people will tell you, like if I ask a question to somebody, like one of my nephews, okay, I do how to do this. So all they will ask is, you have YouTube and Google, na? So they're like, why are you asking me? Why can't you just look it up on your own? And I'm like, but I have minions, so it's easy. I'll ask you and you'll do it for me. So but asking for help is a very, very a sensible thing to do, and it's a sign of strength, because A, I have to figure out what do I need help with. B, I have to figure out who do I ask for help. And C, then I have to have that kind of self-confidence that if I'm asking for help, it doesn't make me a smaller person or a less intelligent or less capable person. So when I'm asking for help, in fact, it's a sign of strength, not a weakness. So go ahead and ask for help for anything and everything. If you don't know how to manage your finances because your money is reduced and your EMIs are going on, ask a chartered accountant. There are a lot of helplines. I know for a fact that initially, at least in the lockdown, there was a helpline with chartered accountants that were there, sitting there to give you free advice online. So I'm not sure whether that is still operating or no, but I'm sure there are a lot of people out there who are willing to volunteering to help each other out, because we understand that it is a same storm that all of us are in. Albeit we might be in different boats. So my boat might be a little bit more luxurious, yours might be a little bit more bad, somebody's boat may be more filled with holes, and somebody's boat was just a raft. So we understand that it's the same storm, but where they're different boats, and if we all help each other, the little boat and the big boat and the rafty boat and the holy boat, if we all help each other, we're all going to be able to survive it. To ask for help, and people are ready to help as well. And that's another wonderful thing that the pandemic has brought about, that people are willing to help each other, and people are recognizing that they are willing to help each other. So they're recognizing that altruistic possibility amongst themselves as well. Even if it's by giving that extra tip to the Zomato delivery person, people are helping. So alhamdulillah, that's nice. And like I said, I can go on and on about a lot of things mental health related, but they'll throw me out. And I do have like I said, my clinical practice to go back to as well. So I'm going to stop here, and maybe if there are a few questions, we could take it. I'm sure I haven't covered everything that you guys want to learn or hear from me, because it's a little impossible for us to talk about everything just in 45 minutes really. So if there's anything particular, either related to the topic or not, these are the numbers. You can either call me or you can email me, and we can DM me on Instagram. But yeah, keep not ungodly hours.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Dr. Ruksheda. If you want to just unshare your presentation, yeah, thanks for that. So we have got a whole lot of questions. We'll try to cover those questions. And let me read out some of the questions which people have put it on the live chat. Brother Khalid Hussain, Brother Danish Khan, and Brother Muhammad Akram had the similar question. And the question is, how to improve anxiety and get rid of loneliness of especially kids in such a strict lockdown?
Sorry, how to handle anxiety, and what about the children?
Get rid of loneliness of children.
Loneliness of children, like children
Yes.
are lonely, or you're lonely for your children?
Children are lonely, kids are lonely.
Okay. So when we're talking about anxiety, like if it's just a matter of that I'm a little nervous, or I'm a little, just I'm thinking about certain things that are happening on a daily basis. If it's handleable, if I'm managing to do my everyday life works and chores and functionalities not getting impacted, it's okay. But if you're feeling anxious, or you're getting panic attacks where it could be palpitations or restlessness, and you feel that, oh my god, I'm getting a heart attack, or oh my god, like I'm going to fall down now, or something like that, if that's unfortunately happening, then you must see a doctor. You will require medications, because what's happening is that we are seeing a lot of mental health illnesses, psychiatric disorders in the pandemic, because of multiple reasons, and not just the psychological impact of the social restriction and economic challenges. So if and a friend of mine always says, khasi ya udasi 15 din se zyada ho to doctor ko dikhao. So I just in fact tweeted, I think yesterday or something, the helpline that from the Ministry of Health as well, where psychiatrists are available, or that's connected with NIMHANS at Bangalore, where they are going to tell you whether you require a psychologist or a psychiatrist, whether you might benefit from medications or no, and they put you in touch with somebody closest to you, whether whatever affordability that you might have for that matter. But at the same time, if you have a healthy routine, if you're sleeping well, eating well, exercising, that will definitely help you reduce your anxiety and keep it in check. Doing breathing exercises like belly breathing exercises or shavasana, if you know, or doing meditative exercises when you're praying, whatever kind of prayers that you do, that definitely reduces your stress levels as well. So somebody coping with anxiety, I tell them, give me 3 times in a day, 3 to 5 minutes minimum, where you're doing either breathing exercise or meditative breathing exercises, and that will definitely help you reduce your overall anxiety. But if you're struggling with it, please go see a psychiatrist, take medications, because that will otherwise lead to further issues and reduce your immunity, and that's not something that we want, especially during this time. When children are lonely, especially when, like I said, the younger children, they're very resilient, they're okay, they're fine to play with you as much as they were fine to play with their friends as well. And technology is a wonderful thing, wonderful tools. I always say that if I had to be stuck in a pandemic, I'm happy it's 2020, where we do have technology, and we were already kind of well versed in terms of using FaceTime or WhatsApp videos to stay in touch with people. We were already kind of communicating and contacting people. We have social media for that matter as well. So when you teach your children how to consciously use social media to stay in touch with each other, your friends, and especially friends that they have from their real life, because a lot of the times, virtual relationships versus real relationships is a big conflict. Yes, we do want to reduce their screen time overall. Having said that, we also want to reduce their loneliness. So if they can connect with their friends, like a patient of mine had a Zoom slumber party, right? So that's possible. I was giving a talking to a reporter, and he was writing on perfumes. I was like, you know what, if it's a Zoom party meeting that I'm having with my friends, I'm going to dress up and I'm going to wear my favorite perfume. So you could like help your children figure that out. And depending on how old they are or how young they are and what kind of space you have, maybe your children can play with those other children as well. If, like I said, again, it entirely depends on age groups, and it entirely depends on spaces, and entirely depends on what kind of safety measures that you can take. So coming up with kind of like projects for each other with the children, keeping them in touch with our children other than, from their class or from other just neighborhood buildings and everything, is important, because it is part of, it is requirement for their development. And as of right now, we don't know what kind of long lasting issues they might have. So you do need to be a little creative, but you do need to look after their well-being in this aspect as well, because social skills are very important. And if you teach them how to use social media consciously and for their benefit, it's definitely going to be okay. We do need to talk to them about electronic footprints, about what is a good content, what's a bad content, and how not to share, and how not to even overshare, and how not to forward stuff and all of that. So those etiquettes also, if we teach them, I think technology is a brilliant way and a very good tool to use for your children's social skills and avoiding loneliness.
Thanks. So another question from Brother Altaf Sheikh. How do we deal with elderly care at home during COVID times, especially when either mom and dad are bedridden?
So frankly, okay, so when they are already we have elderly people who are bedridden. If they are already used to being bedridden, so their life hasn't changed a lot, right? But there are other older adults where they were used to just going out more, or people coming over to see them more often, and that's how they were keeping healthy and fine. So for them, that's another different challenge, isn't it? And they're not used to sanitizing every product that comes into the house. They're not used to, I mean, the newspapers have also started, so they'll just take the newspaper and read, and no washing hands and nothing. So they keep forgetting all of these things. So it's important for us to learn. I will share with the group just like infomercial material in terms of how to take care of older adults. If they are already bedridden, like I said, their life hasn't changed, but yours definitely has, because the help that you might have had in the past to take care of them might not be available right now. So that means your physical work in terms of taking care of them has increased. So you want to be in touch with their doctors so that their nursing care is taken care of. The medications and all of that is one aspect of it, which is easier to do, but their nursing care in terms of, okay, when to turn them, how much to turn them, how to sponge them, how to change the bed sheets, what kind of bed sheets they need to have, whether it's an airbag, whether it's a water bed, whatever it is. So that's the nursing care part of it, is something that you want to take, you want to consult somebody on. There are palliative care doctors and palliative care nurses, not so many, but at least we have doctors, and that will help you do that. And of course, if there are if they have help, and they have help coming in, most societies and housing corporations they have to allow older adults, care people and caregivers to come in. So it should be, and like I said, ask for help and ask for directions and ask for information. And if you are kind of, getting too much because you've been doing you've been at it for some time, have somebody else take over, take a day off, get out, just go sit on the beach for some time, or things like that. And because taking care of yourself as a caregiver is very important aspect of being able to take care of the older adults. As far as the other older adults who are, like I said, more restricted now and not very good about in terms of taking care of themselves, I tell my parents that aap log mujhe corona denge, because my mom will forget, wo doodh wala aaya hai, she'll forget to wash the packet, and she's like, हाँ मैंने पानी से धो दिया, or something like that can happen, right? So we want to be patient with them, and we want to we are worried for them, but but we have to, and they will say things like, oh, so what, now that we are old, so you don't want to get upset with it, but at the same time, and also you don't want to be resentful of them, no, because oh, आपकी वजह से मैं नहीं बाहर जा सकता हूँ क्योंकि मैं वापस आऊंगा तो आपको कोरोना लग जाएगा. So you don't want to be resentful of that also. So you want to be careful in terms of, being kinder to them, because they have less access to everything else that you have. So yeah, and like I said, speak to their doctors, ask them what to do and how to take care of them, and I'm sure you'll get more specific answers to your question.
Thanks much. Another question from Sister Asia Wani. How to take care of kids' mental health, especially when they have been indoors for over 4 months and are visibly demonstrating disturbed behavior?
So again, it depends on the age group of the child. Most children, when we say disturbed behavior, if you're so disturbed about their behavior, please consult a professional, right? If it is disturbed behavior as such, a lot of children have restarted bedwetting, restarted nail biting, thumb sucking. That has happened in younger children. In older children, of course, there are other challenges, and they become more aggressive and moody and irritable, not getting out of bed at all. So those are other challenges really that children are facing. So how to help them, in the sense that, if they don't already know about what the corona pandemic is about, please speak to them in a very realistic manner. Don't talk down to them, talk with them. If they're older children, ask them how they think you can help them. Give them small little chores, give them small little things to do that makes them feel productive, that makes them feel good. Always listening to them is very validating to them. You are maybe stretched for time because you're working as well as doing the household chores, so you may be stressed for time. But at the same time, if you have certain rituals that, okay, we are going to have dinner together, no mobiles, no TV, no computers on dinner table, where we're just sitting and chatting. And if they're younger children, story time is, bedtime stories is a wonderful way of helping them feel as if, okay, their day was okay. So simple small little things. And like I always say, that if I am busy or if I'm tired for that matter, and there are little kids in the house, but they still need to play, and I need to play with them because I want them to have that memory. So I'll sit there and I'll become Simon, and I'll tell them, okay, Simon says go run there and come back, or Simon says go to the next room and get me that blue pillow, or Simon says, okay, spin around 10 times, Simon says leap like a frog. So I'm sitting and I'm resting, and they think that I'm playing with them, and they're engaged in some activity, and physical activity for that matter, without having a lot of luxury of space around. So if you come up with these kind of activities, it's important. But you know what, nothing beats a hug and a kiss, and nothing beats just cuddling with each other and sitting there, and a little comfort food here and there does not make a lot of difference. Buy them that ice cream. Don't really worry about their studies so much. See to it that they are attending school and attending class or whatever, but it's okay if they don't sit in the class the entire day. It's okay if their homeworks are not done every single day. Don't worry about their grades. It's just, it doesn't matter if they have poor grades this year. Everybody is going to, be playing catch up later. So reduce your mom guilt or your dad guilt, and also that you can see your child and what your child needs instead of what you are fearing that the child might need. So see the child and hear the child, and that will be one of the best things that you can do for their mental health. And you don't really require a lot of fancy schmancy stuff. But if you are disturbed and you think that your child is disturbed, please take professional help.
Thanks much. Sister Maria has a question. Maria Khan, how to remain motivated and productive in lockdown while being at home 24/7?
So if we just had a question about older adults as well, and we know for a fact that when we have a purpose and a meaning to our lives, that's what makes our lives more fulfilling. And when we've asked, towards end of life, we've asked questions to people how their lives were, and were they happy and were they content. There's a difference between happiness and there's a difference between contentment. And if you're content, you're going to be have more happier moments in your life. If you're only happy and not content, that's just a very empty kind of a feeling. In fact, I just did a Instagram post also a few days ago on that. So when you have purpose and meaning, you will find it easier for you to be productive, right? When we are being altruistic, when we're trying to help somebody else, that's a wonderful way of filling whatever gaps that you may have in your life that you're going through right now as well. So whether that's helping somebody in the household, whether that's helping somebody online, whether it's nothing but sitting and speaking to relatives all day, messaging friends, how are you okay, do you want to call, do you want to chat? So even if you're trying to, like, help relieve somebody else's boredom, for that matter, even that, if that's altruistic, that's also a good way of doing it. And how to stay motivated. Motivated for what, right? So it entirely depends on what you want to be motivated for. Again, healthy routine is very, very important. I know my healthy routine is a little difficult nowadays, but I am like playing catch up again with that, and alhamdulillah, I've started like getting back into the exercise mode again a little bit, because I used to always exercise like practically 4 or 5 times in a week, which has gotten down. But I know that I need the energy, and that's the reason I'm going to do this. So when I know that, okay, ultimately this is good for me, that's a big motivator for me. So I always tell, give people an example that if you're doing something, तुम्हारे 5 फायदे होने चाहिए. You have to have 5 good things if you're doing something, right? So let's say if I'm talking about, I haven't been exercising and I used to exercise, like that was a big part of that was like a regular part of my everyday routine life. And I'm not doing that because initially I thought, oh, it's a small thing, let me take 15 days break. And then I was like, oh, Ramzan hai, and oh, bartan dhone hai, and all of that, right? But then when I think about it, okay, when I start exercising, what are the 5 advantages that I'm going to have? Well, how is it going to benefit me? That's a good motivating factor as well. And that keeps me, like, okay, yeah, this makes sense for me. And that keeps me going ahead and ahead. But again, like I said, finding a purpose and finding meaning, it seems simple words, but it can also be a little challenging. What does that even mean? That way. But it means what it means to you. What's important to you, what you think is important to you, and how do you want to come out of it. And yes, there are a lot of things that you can't do because of the movement restrictions and financial challenges, but there are still a lot of things that you can do. So focusing on what we have and focusing on what we can do is very, very easy way of kind of relieving your boredom, and at the same time staying positive. And at the end of the day, if you also like start keeping a gratitude journal, that goes a long way in rewiring your brain the physiology and chemistry to be more positive and more content. And that's something that you can teach your children as well. It's a sunnah as well. So it becomes it's a very sasta sundar tikau tool for positive psychiatry, building resilience, building your cerebral reserve. So yeah, you might want to start doing that.
Perfect. I think the last question now, I know we are running out of time. Brother Mazhar and Brother Sami has similar questions. In this lockdown, the amount of time kids spending on mobile has increased drastically. If not provided with their need, they are getting aggressive, saying we don't get to go out. How do we deal with this? And do we take online classes for kids as now new normal?
So the one thing that all of us need to do, irrespective of whether we are children or adults or older adults, is that because we are spending so much time indoors, not only just on the screen but indoors, because mera kitna bada kamra ho sakta hai na, it's very important that at regular intervals stand in front of the window, look outside, because you want to see far vision. You want to see, you want to exercise your eye muscles, that, okay, we can still see far and we don't only have to see something that's very close up, right? So that's one thing that we haven't really touched before. And when they are going to be using screen, they're going to be using more screen. You just have to accept that fact, because there's nothing much we can do about it. Because A, there is schoolwork, and then B, there is some entertainment, right? And we're talking about even learning social skills and hanging out with friends over screen. So just try and see to it that they have access to bigger screens instead of smaller screens most of the time. But when they have their own individual like cell phones and they're on their smart gadgets and they're looking into it, you want to keep reminding them that if you want to use it, you have to have good posture. You can't be doing this, you have to do this, right? If they have if they have glasses, see to it that they have those Blu-ray protective glasses, so that it's less strain on their eyes, and the light that emanates from the screens is less. So first of all, they're going to spend more time. And if you know if you want them not to spend so much of time on the gadgets, you spend time with them. because you can't just get away with like give them a law and they have to follow it, right? So you have to either help them or sit with them or play with them or teach them or do whatever it is. And if they are going to be online, like again, scheduling is very easy because human beings, we are all we have this whole routine and a cycle and timetables. So when we have that, we can follow it, right? So okay, you can have the mobile or access to whatever internet from this time to this time, or not these videos, but those videos. So when you have that kind of parental observation and parental guidance, it will become easier. Of course, their screen time has increased, so don't worry about it. But see to it that they're also getting physical exercise, they're also getting rest, enough sleep, they're also getting good nutritious food as much as possible. They don't always, I mean, it's not like they can't junk, but you don't want them to survive only on junk. So occasional cooking Maggie instead of dinner is fine, but not on a daily basis. And like I said, if you want them to have less screen time, what are you going to do about it? Don't ask me, ask yourself.
Yes, exactly. Thanks much. There are so many questions on the live chat, but due to time constraints, we would like to apologize to everyone whose questions have not been answered. So I would like to take this opportunity to thank Dr. Saida Ruksheda. In spite of being so busy, she took time to address us and guide us on this hot topic. Thank you so much, Dr. Ruksheda. And I would also like to,
It's been my pleasure. And if I didn't cover some of the questions, I apologize. If I've done something right, it's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, his blessings. Jazakallah khair for all of y'all. And again, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to reach out to so many people.
Sure, thank you so much. And I would like also to thank the PSF core committee for managing the logistics at the background. Thanks much. And I would like to thank the audience who have spared time and joined our live session today. We'd like to share that we'll have more sessions like this in the future, and we'll keep you informed. We'd also like you to go through the chat, and there is a link for PSF, and you can join our PSF forum Mumbai by registering yourself on the link. Thank you so much. Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.